It's been a while, but Bobby Petrino is finally back at the FBS level. Plus, Washington State's head coach goes off and calls out the NCAA. All that and more on today's episode of 4th and 10. 4 college football stories in just around 10 minutes. Now, let's go for it. Before we get to today's video, make sure to smash that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to my channel. If you're watching this video, odds are that you love college football, and odds are you aren't subscribed to my channel. So make sure to subscribe to one of the best college football communities here on YouTube. I'm posting college football videos every day during the off season, so make sure to subscribe so you never miss a video. Also, don't forget to drop a like on this video as well. It helps out with that YouTube algorithm and helps share the video with more college football fans. Plus, it only takes a second to do. So, according to multiple reports, it looks like Bobby Petrino is headed to Las Vegas to be UNLV's new offensive coordinator. In recent weeks, UNLV hired Barry Odom to be their new head coach. If you've been wondering where Petrino's been the last few years, he's been the head coach at Missouri State of the FCS level. But he's done a pretty solid job there as he guided the Bears to FCS playoff appearances in 2 of his 3 seasons. Prior to his arrival, the last time Missouri State had made the playoffs was 1990. Petrino's going to be the offensive coordinator under new head coach Barry Odom, who just came over from Arkansas. Now, if you guys remember, Odom and Petrino actually faced off earlier this season back in week 3. And if you remember, Missouri State nearly pulled off the upset on the road at Arkansas. This is going to be Petrino's first assistant coaching job since 2002 when he was the offensive coordinator with Auburn. Petrino has had a pretty successful collegiate career as he's made stops at Arkansas and Louisville and won 66% of his games as a college head coach. Although he's been one of the better head coaches in college football the last 2 decades, you guys probably remember him most from what happened a decade ago when he was at Arkansas. He was fired in April of 2020 after school officials said he lied about a motorcycle accident while riding with a woman hired as a football staffer, with whom he was also having an affair with. Arkansas had won 11 games the previous season, including a victory in the Cotton Bowl, and they finished number 5 in the final AP poll. Bobby Petrino had 2 separate head coaching stints while at Louisville. He led the Cardinals to a pair of top 10 finishes in 2004 and 2006, the only times in school history that it happened. He completely transformed that Louisville program. After he was fired at Arkansas, he coached at Western Kentucky for a season and then returned to Louisville. He was great during his second stint with the Cardinals as he went 21-11 in conference games and won 9 games twice in 4 seasons. But his final season was a disaster as the Cardinals lost their last 9 games and was fired with 2 games remaining in the season. He was out of football for a year before he was hired at Missouri State. Petrino coming back to the FBS level was really picking up steam over the last few weeks. He was in discussions with Texas A&M about potentially becoming the offensive coordinator, but according to ESPN, one of the things that appealed to Petrino about the UNLV job was the challenge of helping Odom rebuild the program, which is currently going through 9 consecutive losing seasons. It'll certainly be interesting to see what kind of job Bobby Petrino is able to do at UNLV, considering just how bad of a program they currently are. But hey, maybe he'll be able to recruit and help turn this UNLV program around. Moving over to Washington State, as their head coach Jake Dickert did not hold anything back and completely blasted NIL, tampering, and a whole lot of other things currently going on in college football. On Monday during his press conference, he was asked about NIL and how other coaches are approaching it. He was asked how NIL is affecting college football and went on a pretty interesting rant about how other programs are going after players. Here's everything he had to say about the numerous topics.
But there's immense challenges, Colton, to what this portal and this NIL provides. Okay, there's more tampering going on than you could ever imagine. Okay, we've had guys contact our players' parents. We had a coach from another school contact one of our players and offer him NIL. A coach. Okay, so there's more things going on behind the scenes that you can't even imagine. You can't even imagine the things that are happening right now that try to pry our players away from this place. Okay, and it's stunning, it's amazing, it's the new thing that, I guess comes with this portal transformation, but it's not right. And who's gonna regulate it? Who's regulating this stuff? So there's challenges that we're facing that I obviously are extremely disappointed with what other teams and other programs and the collectives maybe act, on their own behalf. But to try to get to our players' parents and offering money and opportunities and stuff it's unacceptable to me.
This was one of my biggest concerns when looking at where the transfer portal and NIL is currently headed. I mean, at this point, the NCAA doesn't regulate anything, and it's just open season out there. I mean, we've seen this over the last couple years, and it's really starting to get out of hand. I mean, let's just take Jordan Addison, for example, last season. I know it was never officially confirmed, but 100% there were other teams that were in his phone that were letting him know just how much money he can make in NIL if you were to transfer to that program. Now, personally, I think that's 100% okay once a player enters the transfer portal. But I think where we have a massive problem is the fact that you have teams and coaches that are approaching these players while they're still currently at that school. It's just not fair, and it's just not right, and it puts a real disadvantage on the schools that the players are currently at. I think it's just going to get worse and worse, and college football is potentially going down a really dark path. Now, obviously, I don't think the NCAA is going to do anything about this, and this is just going to continue to go on. If we want to prevent this from happening moving forward, it would require the NCAA to make an example out of someone. Now, what kind of punishments that would come with, I'm not entirely sure, but I really think something needs to be done about this. Because again, the way NIL is going and the way the transfer portal is going, college football is going to be nothing like it looks today a few years down the line. So, major shout out to Washington State head coach Jake Dickert for calling it out and hopefully shining more light on the subject. Now, 99.9% chance this isn't going to result in anything happening, but at least maybe a few more people are aware of what's going on behind the scenes. I didn't think we'd be making a 4th and 10 video where we'd be talking about Drew Brees. Well, he's going to be helping the coaching transition at Purdue, serving as an assistant coach for the Boilermakers ahead of their Cheez-It Citrus Bowl game on January 2nd. In a statement, Drew Brees said, "I'm extremely excited to work with our team over the next few weeks as we prepare for the Citrus Bowl. I see it not only as an opportunity to coach and mentor this group of young men, but represent all the former Purdue players that care so much about our program." Drew Brees, who was hired as accountable assistant under NCAA guidelines, is permitted to work with student athletes as well as participate in recruiting activities. When Drew Brees left Purdue, he was one of the more accomplished quarterbacks in the history of the Big Ten. He ended his career as the conference's leader in passing yards, touchdowns, total offensive yards, completions, and attempts. Purdue's former head coach Jeff Brom recently left Purdue to become the new head coach at Louisville. And just a few days ago, Purdue announced that their new head coach would be Ryan Walters, former defensive coordinator from Illinois. Here's what Walters had to say about the Drew Brees news. "When I first heard about Drew coming back to help coach our guys for the bowl game, I was hoping the rumors were true. Our players have the opportunity to learn from one of the greatest leaders in football history, a valuable experience they will never forget. Drew taking time out of his busy schedule to coach the bowl game is a perfect example of Purdue football being one big family, and I cannot wait to see him on the sidelines in Orlando." We'll wrap up this video with some recruiting news, as Ohio State just landed 5-star wide receiver Jeremiah Smith. This is a pretty big get for Ohio State, as Smith is rated as the number 5 overall player in the 2024 class by 24/7 Sports, and he's the number 1 overall receiver as well. As of right now, this gives Ohio State the number 1 and the number 2 player of the 2024 class. This past season as a junior, Smith caught 58 passes for over 1,000 yards with 20 receiving touchdowns. This shouldn't necessarily come as much of a surprise considering Ohio State has turned into wide receiver university over the last few years. I mean, seriously, the wide receivers they've recently sent to the NFL and the wide receivers they currently have in the program, why wouldn't you go there if you're one of the top wide receiver recruits in the entire country? Well, that wraps it up for today's episode of 4th and 10. What are your thoughts on Bobby Petrino heading to Las Vegas? Also, what are your thoughts on Washington State's head coach calling out the NCAA, and do you think he's right and has a point? Whatever your thoughts are on the topics from today's video, let me know in the comment section down below. Before you leave, don't forget to smash that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to my channel. I'm posting college football videos every day during the off season, so make sure to subscribe so you never miss a video. Also, don't forget to drop a like on this video as well. It helps out with that YouTube algorithm and helps share the video with more college football fans. Plus, it only takes a second to do. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.